The Atlanta Braves refuse to get swept thanks to Hurston Waldrep and Drake Baldwin in their 3-1 victory over the Phillies on Sunday. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. That is Jake Mastroianni, host of Locked On Braves. Follow him on social media at Shortstop Ball. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Jake's got tons of content coming this week all about your Atlanta Braves. And we're going to talk about a victory. The first time we've gotten to do this all weekend. 3-1, Atlanta takes down Philly. Thanks to the heroics of Drake Baldwin in the top of the ninth. Atlanta scores all three of their runs in the final two innings. We've got good. We've got bad. Let's start with the good. Let's start with Drake Baldwin, okay? This is something he pinch hits for Nick Allen, draws a walk, comes back up in the ninth and gets the 2-run home run. And he's not in the lineup today. He's not been in the lineup a ton because Jesus Luzardo's a lefty. And manager Brian Snitker has just really tried to protect Drake Baldwin against lefties. That's not a thing you can do anymore. It feels like because Sean Murphy's struggling, Marcell Ozuna's struggling, they're going to have to play Drake Baldwin a majority of the time down the stretch because he's gotten 18 total starts against lefties and 81 against righties. That's got to change. I'm sorry, he's gotten 4 starts against lefty starters. He's been in 18 of those games, but only 4 starts against lefty starters, 71 against righty starters. That's got to change, right?
Yeah, it does, and he's good against lefties too. So yeah. I mean, it's not like you're sitting him because he's bad against lefties. I think you're thinking because you think he should be. I don't know. But you made a good point yesterday, too. I think the reason that Sean Murphy started the day is because he and Hurston Waldrep are comfortable together. And I think that's the biggest reason. Like we talked about yesterday, then you do DH Drake Baldwin. But they decided instead to give Acuna, a day off in the field and DH him. And he didn't look particularly great in this game. So maybe not the best of decisions there. But Drake Baldwin does come into the game, and as you said, 2 at-bats, and he has an impact in both of them. And it's just, why is he not playing more? And it's frustrating because we as fans, we see it, and we want him to win the Rookie of the Year. We want to get that extra draft pick. It doesn't feel like there's that urgency from Brian Snitker. And AA said it's up to Snitker. He makes the lineup. Anytime you ask AA about that, he says, I leave all the lineup decisions up to Snitker. Mm-hmm. And to your point, I mean, Drake Baldwin in there is just a better team. I mean, if your goal as Snitker right now is to just win as many games as possible, keep the team engaged, keep them trying to produce and win, then what's your justification for not playing Drake Baldwin more often? I mean, at this point, I don't know, other than he is a catcher, and we know catchers are going to get a day or two off a week, but still, you get the DH spot now. So, I mean, you have the ability to get him in there. Sean Murphy's like 4 for his last 50. Ozuna hit under 200 in the month of August. The excuses are gone. The excuses are gone right now for not playing Drake Baldwin pretty much every day. And, again, as I mentioned, it also greatly benefits the team if he is playing and playing well. It could do huge things for the team down the road if he's able to win that Rookie of the Year and get that extra draft pick and that extra bonus pool money. There's just so many more reasons to play Drake Baldwin than not to play Drake Baldwin. And look, I mean, if he does start him tonight, things might not play out the same way. I mean, look, sometimes there's a fine line between being a genius and being just flat out lucky and fortunate. And I think that's kind of where Brian Snitker is with this, because you don't start him, but you're able to unleash him at the right moments, and it pays off for you. I know we'll get into it more later, but same thing on Iggy. We talked a lot yesterday how about not bringing him back out for the 10th inning doesn't make a lot of sense after he only threw 8 pitches. And Snicker after the game said, well, I want to make sure I have him ready for Sunday night. And lo and behold, he looks like a genius because Iggy comes back out on Sunday night and closes out the game. But as far as Drake Baldwin, just to wrap, put a bow on that, there's no more excuses, reasons, justifications for not playing him virtually every day right now.
Yeah, and understanding the way the Rookie of the Year voting works as well, where it's 2 voters from each major league city that make the votes. It's people, moments, and things matter. I checked FanDuel this morning. I checked them again just right now. Drake Baldwin is back on the lead for Rookie of the Year at plus 135, with Cade Morton second at plus 160, and Isaac Collins at third. Now that Drake Baldwin's had that Rookie of the Year moment, right? We talk about when it's human voters, they remember things like this. Yeah, Isaac Collins had that walk-off home run a couple weeks ago. Well, Drake Baldwin just hit the game-winning homer against a division rival in their house to avert a sweep. Those kind of things matter. And so, yeah, I do think it's definitely something. By the way, I just pulled this up too. Drake Baldwin against lefties this year, with the caveat of it's only 59 plate appearances, he's batting .322 with a .936 OPS.
Yeah, that's not an excuse. That's not a reason.
There's no reason not to play him. He's batting .322 against lefties.
And just talking about the moment, we've talked a lot about why he should be playing, but let's just talk about the moment too. This is a tough lefty who's throwing 98 down and away, and Drake Baldwin is strong enough to shoot that out the other way. And it's not like it was a cheapie that just barely got over. I mean, that was gone by a pretty good amount for where that pitch was and hitting it the other way. He is so strong. That's a really good pitcher. That's a really, fast fastball in a pretty good location. And he just rips it the other way, makes it look easy for a 2-run homer.
Something really funny here. They were playing in Truist Park. StatCast says that's not a homer. So it's a good thing they're on the road for this, because that's not a homer in Atlanta, but it probably is a base hit. I almost didn't think Atlanta was going to do this because the opportunities they had to score runs, I feel like they really just kind of squandered those. I want to talk about that real quick before we get to the pitching. Top of the 5th inning, top of the 8th inning. Top of the 5th, they get runners on with only 1 out. Nacho Alvarez strikes out on 3 pitches, all of them inside off the plate. And then Sean Murphy gets ahead 3-0 and then strikes out on 3 fastballs in the zone. And I've kind of gone back and forth on how I felt about this. I asked a bunch of people on social media, and I think the Sean Murphy one is more egregious. One, because Nacho kind of got hosed on the very first strike. It was off the plate. It was a called strike. So he had to swing at the next one in the exact same place. Sean Murphy, again, up 3-0. He got 3 fastballs, all of them in the zone, and couldn't put one into play. So frustrating there. And then the 8th inning, you bases loaded, no outs, and you get exactly 1 run in that situation. You tied the game up, but it really felt for a minute like Atlanta wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, to me, it's the 8th inning. I mean, the 5th inning one's frustrating too, but you were at the bottom of your order. Murphy's really struggling right now. Yeah. He missed the 3-0 pitch. He got the green light 3-0, and that was the best one. The other 2 were painted inside. I mean, those are tough fastballs. Luzardo was doing a great job of busting righties inside with that fastball. He threw the ball really good tonight. Got to give him a lot of credit for that. But the 8th inning one is the frustrating one. You load the bases for Olsen and Acuna and Albies and Harris. And, Olsen, he does drive in the run, but it's a ground out. And then Acuna, who, again, flat out looked awful tonight, quite honestly. I mean, again, tip your hat to Luzardo, who kept busting him inside, and that's where you go to get Ronald, and he certainly did that. But that strikeout there by Ronald was rough. And then, obviously,
the strikeout was after they went to Tanner Banks in the 8th. So the strikeout was Tanner Banks, but he was all out of sorts because Luzardo got him.
I was just talking earlier in the game.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Just what Luzardo was able to do to bust him in. Right. But just the strikeout there in the 8th was pretty bad. And then they walk Ozzie, to get the Harris, the lefty matchup, which Michael had 2 hits and 3 hard hits overall tonight, so a good night overall for him, but wasn't able to come through there. But that's just a frustrating one because, and we know what the Braves struggles in those situations this year, and they do get one, which is more than they get most of the time, it feels like. But that was just a big moment there where you thought with the middle of your order coming up, you were really going to blow it open.
Yeah, but it's okay. Drake Baldwin saved the day. All right, in just a minute, let's talk about the other prominent rookie in this one. Hurston Waldrep, again, looked phenomenal tonight. Got out of a lot of jams, handled the top of the order. We'll break that down next, right here on the Braves Postcast. The NFL season's almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. My favorite way to watch the NFL on Sundays, makes every game more exciting. You can be watching your team, keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's really just a quick, easy way to add a little more energy to Sundays, especially if your team's not playing in that window that you're watching. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at Upside. If you're still paying full price for gas, stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use our limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make it to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. I went out to run some errands this morning, looked in the Upside app to see which gas stations around me were participating and the per gallon offers at each one. It showed me the gas price and the offer. I chose the best one that was on my route, hit claim offer. Once I finished pumping my gas, I hit complete and it started processing my cash back. Super easy. You can cash out anytime. Send money to your bank account, PayPal, any gift card for Amazon and other brands. So don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using our limited time promo code SEASON for a 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Now, offers vary by user and location, so go to Upside for terms and conditions. All right, Jake, in this victory here, Hurston Waldrep, another fantastic start. And he did not finish the month with an ERA under 1, right? He comes out 5 2/3, 4 hits, 1 run, 4 walks to 9 strikeouts. But ERA of 1.01 in the month and was kind of pulling a little bit of stuff. I had it here. Where'd it go? This is the 4th best mark in Atlanta Braves history, like in Atlanta, for a player's first 6 games in a season. The guys he's behind, Chris Medlin, Tom Glavine, Michael Soroka. Not a bad group of guys to be behind as far as pitchers who were very, very good in those seasons.
Yeah, hopefully getting that ERA over 1, it might cost him the the pitcher of the month. I don't know. He's certainly going to be in that running, but what a month it's been for Hurston Waldrep. What a turnaround. I know we talk about every time he pitches, but just what a turnaround it's been for him. I went back and looked at a couple of his last starts because I know early on when he was making these mechanical changes, he had kind of not completely ditched the splitter, but it was mostly, fastball slider that he was throwing early on after he made these mechanical changes. And then his last couple of starts at AAA, he was, bringing the splitter back more into play and using that cutter, which the cutter, Lindsay, that's what got him tonight on the home run. But I mean, that's mostly what his focus has been here lately coming up is just a splitter and cutter. And you saw it. We talk about it all the time with Sean Murphy. He sees something's working. He's going to keep just spamming it until the hitters adjust. And I feel like that was kind of the case tonight. I mean, 45 splitters tonight. He just kept going to it, and Phillies hitters really couldn't figure it out. So, I mean, it's just – and what I liked about Hurston Waldrep in this one too is that facing a really good lineup in the Phillies and had to work out of some trouble. I mean, he got in that jam where he had the bases loaded. He got a big strikeout of Schwarber. I think he struck Schwarber out three times tonight. Yeah. So all on the splitter. Gets Harper too, who just went up there flailing at that splitter. And those guys have to know it's coming, especially in 2-strike counts. They have to know it's coming. And I think what's impressive as well about Waldrep with that splitter tonight, and they talked about it some on the broadcast. I've talked a lot about how it's more control over command, but it did seem like when he wanted to land that splitter in the zone, he could. And when he wanted to throw that splitter down below the zone, he could. And if he can start commanding that pitch and throw it where he wants to, I mean, good grief. That's going to be the upside we've always thought that Hurston Waldrep, had. But yeah, just what a great turnaround. What a great, month he's had. And he just continues to pass every single test. His last time out in Miami, wasn't getting a lot of strikeouts, wasn't getting a lot of swing and miss, had a lot of base runners, but was able to push through it. This one facing a tough lineup, and just was able to continue to get through it, get out of some jams. So it's been highly impressive. I don't know how they're going to keep him out of the rotation going into 2026 right now.
Yeah. I was advocating for them to send him back down a little bit just to preserve his Rookie of the Year eligibility or his PPI eligibility for next year. Doesn't look like you can do that either. He's been so good. That's just one of those. We've seen the Braves don't make these decisions based on that, obviously.
Oh, no, certainly not. The other thing I was surprised too, just my last comment on Waldrep, I was surprised he went back out for the sixth. He had the big inning where he threw 25, 30 pitches, and had to get out of that one. He had to work a good bit here. Pitch count was getting kind of up there. As you mentioned, made me think about it. He is still a young rookie pitcher, throwing some innings. I was surprised to see him go back for the sixth. Then he walked the batter, and they still left him out there. And then he struck out the next two guys. He had the bottom of the order. I think that certainly played into it. If the top of the order was back up, I think you pull him. But that's also big for Waldrep, that he can get to that 100 pitch mark, that you can send him back out there like that, and he's able to still get you some outs. So another big just step for Waldrep in this one.
And I do think part of it too is we've seen, even when these guys have been good against Phillies sometimes, we've seen the top of that lineup can blast them. You look at the quartet of Turner, Schwarber, Realmuto, and Bryce Harper. 1 for 11, 6 strikeouts, and the one hit was a single. He not only passed the test against the lineup of Philly, he passed the test against the stars of Philly, and that's not something a lot of Braves pitchers have been able to come out and say that they've done really well. So very impressed there. Do we feel like Brian Snitker's a little bit vindicated for pulling Raisel Iglesias last night and saving him for today? Because part of me wonders the reason he went back out for the sixth was that because you were down to the back end or to the low leverage guys in the bullpen, right? You threw Brebbia first to finish that inning and take the next one. Then you went to Dodd for an out. Then you went to Tyler Kinley before you got to Iglesias. Some of me just thinks, and Kinley gets the win here. Shout out Tyler Kinley there. Some of me just thinks that you almost didn't have an option on Waldrep. You had to send him back out if you wanted to stay in the game, because would you rather have him at 100 pitches, or would you rather have John Brebbia coming in and doing a full inning plus to try to bridge to the rest of the bullpen? I think that might have been part of it too.
Maybe, but like I said, I think more of my mind, where my mind was that it's a young pitcher. You don't want to push him in a season that's, essentially done.
Yeah.
True. But yeah, definitely, to your point, I think it makes sense. That's what I talked about last night with Chris Sale, who was not even at 80 pitches, that you give him another inning, and that saves a bullpen arm that you don't have to use. But it was his first start, back in 2.5 months. So kind of understood that. But yeah, a little bit of vindication for Brian Snitker with Iggy being available. Note on Dylan Dodd real quick too, because his numbers against lefties are not great, and they haven't been great at the major league level, and they weren't terrible in the minor league level, but the numbers were better against righties. So that's something to keep in mind, because I know myself, I've been wanting to see Dylan Dodd get those at bats against lefties. He gave up the triple to Schwarber, almost gave up a bomb to Harper. I don't know if he's going to be that left on left reliever. And Braves Brian Snitker might want to look at those numbers.
Yeah, and that was, I think, the frustrating part there is he's really just like fastball cutter. Like, he doesn't have a lot of other options. And I think you made the point on social media, the cutter against lefties who are pretty good with that kind of stuff, it's not the great pitch selection in those left on left situations. And that's just, he just needs another weapon. He feels like another guy, kind of like Waldrep, where you can give him a sinker as well. Let him throw multiple fastballs. He's got stuff running each way. Maybe that helps a little bit. We'll see what they do with it. But yeah, that's I was kind of hoping we'd find a left on left guy, and I was hopeful Dylan Dodd could do it. It just doesn't look like he absolutely could be. All right. So again, Braves win this one 3-1. Pitching matchups for this upcoming series in Chicago versus the Cubs. Day game tomorrow, 4:05 on Labor Day. Spencer Strider versus Colin Rea. Tuesday, Joey Wentz versus lefty Shota Imanaga. Wednesday is Bryce Elder versus Cade Horton. Let's see if we get how many games Drake Baldwin starts between catching and DH. Fingers crossed for 3. We'll see if he gets that game 2 or not against Shota Imanaga. But in the meantime, do us a favor. If you're listening on audio, leave a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to both Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta. A lot of other college football's going. NFL kicks off on Thursday. The Braves are off just for that for you. They did that as a gift to you guys. So subscribe to that so you know when we go live to break down your Braves and all of the other great content from Locked On Sports Atlanta. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been the Braves Postcast.